Hello, everyone. We are back. And this is really funny because I don't often have a person on the podcast twice. But I was saying to Becky before I jumped on that I've just been watching a lot of her videos on Instagram, and I just how she's speaking feels so authentic. And I think at this time with like AI and a lot of people who are understandably using things like ChatGPT and Claude, it feels really heartwarming to see a seven-figure coach and business owner be feeling this authentic and this like down to earth. And I was like, I have to get Becky back on the podcast, so here we go. So this is round two with Becky, and I'm so happy to have you here. So I'm just gonna like dive right in, Becky, and obviously people will have had the other one as well. So I want to dig into this first because this is what made me want to reach out to you in the first place. You mentioned on one of your more recent reels, you said, look, people, like you have to be unapologetic. And you were like, I think, okay, I'm going to be paraphrasing, so I might be butchering, but you said something to the effect of, there are so many of you who are still being so like timid and like reserved and like holding back, and that is just not going to work. And I guess I would love for you to just elaborate on that and like what what you're really thinking when you're saying that.
Mm. Well, number one, thank you for having me back. I feel so honored. And our last podcast feels like a lifetime ago.
I
Like I
know.
don't even really remember what we talked about. So, and like you said before we popped on, we are evolving so fast. Like when you're a coach who coaches coaches, you can be in one place and a year later, you are light years ahead of where you were, just emotional intelligence, all the things. Like we're just growing and
Yes.
expanding so quickly. So I love that we're having this conversation. And I think that particular reel I made or video, whatever it was, I had hopped off my own podcast with one of my clients who did my mastermind last year. And I love doing this because I know what my perspective is, right? Like when I see a
Yes.
client shift and evolve, I'm like, oh, this is what she did and this is what she changed. And I'm not the type of coach who is like, I'm responsible for your wins. Like I did that. It's so client, like the client did that, right? Yes, I held the space and gave coaching and information, but they did it. So I want to
Mm,
hear in their own words what shifted for them. And I think that's really important then for my potential clients
I love that.
because they just they don't just want to hear from me. They want to hear from a real person who's not the
Ideally
coach.
you would love to only hear from the clients because then you get the
Yeah.
real raw information.
Yeah. So we did this podcast together and she had come in wanting messaging support, wanting consistent clients and to quit her job.
Mm.
And a year later, and it was just great for me to rehear kind of why she came in. A year later, she's quit her job. She has so many clients. She has a VA. Her content is on fire. Like she's going viral multiple times a week. I don't know if she has a many chat or not, but like she needs one because so many people are DMing her. And
That's amazing.
yeah, like it's
I
insane.
mean, that in itself is everything. Let's be honest, like that.
That and yeah, she's like consistent DM. She's like, Becky, I can't keep up with the DMs. I have to hire a VA to deal with this for me and to onboard people. And she's already raised her rate. She's going traveling like 6 times this year because she's quit her job and she's full time. Anyway, I was like, okay, what shifted for you? And she talked a bit about the calls and being seen and being vulnerable in front of other women and seeing other women be vulnerable. She talked about the messaging work that we did and some of the offers that we shifted. And then she was like, but Becky, it was, and I don't know if this my words or her words,
Mhm.
it was me taking the muzzle off.
Right.
It was, and she talked about, how she'd kind of shut herself down and how she'd repressed her own self and held her back from really saying the thing. And this is truly the essence of what holds women back. Like it's not your content, it's not your strategy, it's not your messaging, it's not your offers. It is you're not saying the thing. You're so afraid of being judged or being seen as too much or
Mhm.
rejected or whatever the wound or the limiting belief is. So you hold yourself back. You're timid, you're vanilla, you don't really say the thing in your content. And for her, when she took the muzzle off and she started actually saying the thing that she believes to be true in her industry,
Right.
people were either magnetized to her or unfollow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But good problem to have, because then you have a place in the market and you are standing for something.
Yeah.
And so she started to stand for something. She started to be unapologetic about her work, her mission. And I had this exact same conversation yesterday with a potential client. We were on a sales call also about my mastermind. And she was kind of like, I don't really understand how this is going to work. So my message is going to get better. My offers are going to be better. And then I'm all of a sudden going to start to make all this money. She's like, walk me through it.
Yeah.
And I was like, great question, right? Like, that's a legit question. We're
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
wondering, when we invest in
Yeah.
something, how's it actually going to work for us? What's the transformation going to be? I have the same questions. And I was like, well, think of it like this. When you get fully and deeply committed
Mm.
to your mission, to
Mhm.
your why, when you stop, I call it navel gazing, right? And as coaches, we're so good at this. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, what about me? I feel bad. I'm too much. I might get whatever. We're like these big walking self improvement projects. We're so focused on ourselves.
Yeah.
When we release that, or when we actually, not because the work's never over, it's ongoing, as you know, and we become focused on how may I serve?
Yeah.
What is my message? Who do I want to help? How do I want to help them? So, owning your gifts, seeing your unique brilliance, and being more focused on putting your service, your work out into the world than you ruminating on your limiting beliefs and how to be a better person. Like, that will change everything.
Yeah.
And this potential client was like, oh my God, I see it.
Oh,
But it's,
really? She got
yeah,
it.
she got it, but it's this frequency that you have to tap into. And it does require that you work through all your BS.
Yeah.
But when you do that and you become unapologetic, it's like unapologetic about who I am, what I stand for, what I want, but also the work I'm here to do, who I'm meant to serve, how I serve them, my unique path. You can't not, your business results can't not change.
Yeah.
They will have to change. They like it's so I talk about like money being, I think we might have talked about this in the previous
Doesn't matter.
podcast.
Hit
It's
me.
like money being a byproduct of who you're being.
Yeah.
And this potential client I was talking to yesterday, she was actually talking about people come to her for weight loss, but she doesn't coach them on weight loss.
Yeah.
She coaches them on relationships, on boundaries, on self-love, on who they're being, how they're treating themselves,
Yeah.
how they are in their relationships. And she's like, the weight, we don't talk about nutrition, we don't talk about strength training or
Yeah.
cardio.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
weight comes off naturally.
I believe that.
Same for the work I do. And my beliefs are that when you work through what's holding you back
Yeah.
and you focus on being in service and putting your work, your mission out into the world, and you're focused on who am I being, who am I becoming, owning, all the unique aspects of yourself, taking what you think is your like worst asset or the thing people are not going to
Yes.
like you
Yeah.
for, and turning that into your superpower. Like, so for me as a kid, I was told I was too much, too fiery, too emotional. So I dimmed that. When I claim that back, I mean, you see me now, like, this is who I am. And that's what magnetizes people to me. So when you do that, money is a byproduct of that.
Yeah. It's so funny, Becky, because before it's so funny. One, I think I to research for this podcast episode, I think I listened to part of that specific interview because that was what came up, and I think I remember her being like, "Oh my God, I don't know what I said in that first call or whatever." And so anyway, so that's interesting. And then the second thing, yeah, when I think about you, I think about, and I think this is so relevant for people, is like like you have shown like your workouts, but also it's funny with you because I think there's a twofold thing. It's like you want to show that like you're so human and like that you are kind of like just like anyone else. Just like and that you just say the things as you would be saying them if your partner was there, or if your best friend was there, like just literally just saying it, like what, however it comes out. And I think you, in my view, do that so well. And you need something else, though. It's like the positioning part, because it's like you also need to be seen as someone who has some value or skill that someone will benefit from. Because otherwise, yeah, you relate and you can like all the posts you want or like whatever, but you're not necessarily going to get paying clients, right? So I think that was really interesting that you said that. And it's so true. Like when I think about some of the clients who've had the biggest transformations in my world, it was when we transformed their biggest fear and insecurity into their biggest like asset and gold. And then they were just like, it was so funny actually, because that's what made them successful. And I always love that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is really juicy. And I want to go down this front, but I also have too many other questions. So I want to go down this other track with you as well. Oh, this was it. Yes. So this is what I'm really curious. You know me, I'm obsessed with like beliefs and mindset and identity. So I'm really curious, especially, when you've got these people coming into these sales calls with you. So they haven't become paying clients yet, but they are a certain level of client. Um, what would you say is a core belief that you hold
Mm,
that they do not hold yet? Obviously, there's probably a gazillion, but what
yeah.
are the few that come to mind right away for you?
The first one that comes to mind is they all believe success is coming. They're like,
Oh my God, that's so interesting.
they have no doubt in their mind. They can see it. It's on their vision board. I'm going to be a successful multi six figure coach. I'm going to sell these big, juicy packages. I'm going to have time off, all the things. But
Right.
it is distant.
How
It is
funny.
far away.
Yeah.
It's one day. It's after I've got years of this. It's after I've built a funnel and have all this experience. And I know my belief
Mm.
and my knowing is that it can literally happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's true because
Or
sometimes you'll literally get like a 10K client like on one day. It doesn't take like 6 months. It's like literally tomorrow somebody reaches out and then that could be literally a 10K client or a 20K client or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
and once you have that first 10K client, like I
Mm.
always say, the best time to sell is when you've just sold something because you're in that vibe.
Yes.
So then you go
100%.
sell a couple more and you're like, oh my God, 30K booked in a month. Wow, I'm really doing this. And then you have this fire about you and you see the evidence that it's happening and it's air quotes working. And I've just seen it so many times. It's like something clicks, something shifts. Like for that client of mine, you know, it's it's not like it happened overnight, but it also did happen overnight.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean when you say that.
So that's what I see. So they come in and they're like, "Oh, it's so far away." I'm like, "No, actually, like once we
Yeah.
figure out your messaging, your positioning, this is not." One person was like, "Okay, so the whole mastermind we work on messaging and positioning," and I'm like, "No, like that's 1/20th of the
Yeah.
picture. It doesn't take 6 months to figure out your message, right? Like this is one conversation, and then you're going to go with that, and then you'll tweak and evolve as you go." So I just see how quick it can happen. And I think part of my work in my own messaging and positioning, like we were talking about
Yeah.
before you click record, was showing that in my content so that
Mhm.
I make the bridge or the gap a lot shorter for people so they can see themselves. Because right now, they land on my page and they think, oh my God, I could never sell a 20K or 50K package. That
That's
feels really
true.
far away.
That's true.
So
That's
I need to bridge that gap. I need to show them how I'm going to walk them over that bridge and show them that it's possible and how we make it possible.
I actually love that so much because it's it's because when you're describing your previous client from the mastermind and also the woman who's on the sales call, they have a kind of frequency to them. It's like someone who is really in it for the long game and who knows that it's not like, oh, maybe it'll be possible. They like know like I'm gonna make this happen kind of vibes. And so in that sense, it's like yeah, for someone like that, like helping them, yeah, like walk across that bridge. And I think also, because even me, like, I've been watching, you and I have been in each other's space. Like I said, I've seen you on Instagram. And I'm always like, oh, yeah, like she talks about premium buyers. But I wouldn't say for me, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what she does because I think that's the irony. I feel like, wait, I feel like now that we're talking, and I think you said this in another interview because I watched another one of yours, and I was like, it's like now that you're talking, I'm like, oh, I see more what you do. But in the short 1 minute reels, this is the problem sometimes with Instagram, is like you're getting a feeling, but you're not getting like, oh, and even just what you said, like I walk you through X, like I take you on a bridge, from you're here and then to here, and I'll tell you how I get you across that bridge. And I think it's funny because it seems so obvious, and I think sometimes, especially in our worlds, like we've been doing this for a long time, so we think everyone knows that that's what we do. But
Yeah.
actually it's like just that simple thing of like, what bridge do you take people across? Like that could be a question people are asking themselves as they're listening to this, is like, literally, what is the bridge that you take people across, and where do they start, where do they end up, and also a bit like, what's the path? Exactly,
Yeah.
because we were talking before we started. I've invested over 250K in the last, I don't know, 8, 9 years. And I've worked with so many different coaches. Every coach is very unique. And so they might all kind of end up in a similar place, but what is the journey? And I think the journey matters because I'm really starting to realize a lot of people, I'm like, I don't like it because it doesn't feel very grounded. It doesn't feel very authentic to me. It doesn't really feel like it's client focused first. Like, so I think it's like, what is the journey helps people really be like, are you my kind of person?
Yeah.
Or are you just another person who's like says this, but then it's not really taking me down the bridge that I want to go on?
Yes. 100%. And like the people who come into my world, I mean, if whether they explicitly ask it or not, they're what I call coach shopping. I mean, this is I
Yeah, yeah.
teach
No,
people,
yeah.
you market to people who are already shopping for a coach. So that means they are trying to decide, am I going to hire Olivia? Am I going to hire Becky? Am I going to hire
Yeah,
whomever?
yeah.
And they're trying to decide that. And so your personality matters, but then also that journey. Like I think of the stepping stones. So what are the stepping stones that you're going to take people across on from point A to Z, wherever you're leading them? And yeah, someone else mentioned about my content, and she was like, I don't really get a sense of what it's like behind the scenes with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's
I,
true.
and you said the same thing. You don't really know what I do. And so that's a missing link for me.
Mm,
But one of the things I'm going to start doing is bringing up the the questions that people ask me in hot seat on
I
my
love that.
mastermind.
I love
And
that.
I'm going to green screen it and coach on the reel. It'll be a longer reel.
That will be so helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
I'll take, I will take Zoom grabs from my calls when I'm live coaching, because you don't know the magic behind the paywall. And that's a gap for me. And this is why we all need coaches, so that someone can reflect what our gaps are.
You know what? I think this is really important for everyone who's listening because I think it's like, you sometimes think, oh, I've been talking about this so much or whatever, but the reality is often you haven't even been talking about it at all. Like you haven't even told people, where do we start from and where do we go on that bridge? Because we do a lot of like, if people are doing like talking videos on TikTok or on Instagram or on Facebook, and it's like that's usually on like micro little, things or micro problem awareness, but it's not what we just spoke about. So that's the first piece. And then something else you said that was so yes, is especially, and I'm thinking about your kinds of people and definitely my kinds of people as well, is like I can only imagine because I've interviewed you twice and we were in the same mastermind before. I know what you're like. I know what you're like outside, and I know that you have depth, right? So it's like it needs to be shown to the world because from my experience, not everyone has that depth. Not everyone has that genuine ability to coach. And I think it is an ability. I think it's a skill that you develop. And I think not everyone is coaching. Like there's just a lot of things that, are going on. And that's fine. Ultimately, if it's client focused, I don't really mind. But it's like, yeah, it'd be a shame for people not to experience and to see like what you really are like, yeah, behind the scenes. Exactly. That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, for a while, I used to send people a copy of a mastermind call, and I'd be like,
I love
hey,
that.
if you're interested in coming in, this is a normal call. This is how it rolls. Watch it. And 90% of the people who got the call would then join.
Oh,
But
really? Interesting.
but you have to already have a sense for me to even ask for that, or to, so For
Yeah.
my top of funnel or middle of funnel people, like I have not been doing a good job in my content for them. And this is something I'm so excited to focus on.
I
So like, yeah,
know.
watch my Instagram
I
because
know.
it's
I'm
gonna
excited.
like blow it up.
I was saying to Becky before I jumped on that I saw her testimonials on her Instagram stories and I was like flicking through them being like, "Oh my God, these are like insane. Like they're so good." And I was like, "Why isn't this everywhere on your screen?" We're talking about like that's kind of the next push. But okay, I'm going to dive into my next question because I have so many. But okay, that was so interesting what you said that one of the core beliefs is like that the people who come to you, they're like, it's someday. It's like
Yeah.
one day I'll be at X, like whether it's like six figures, seven figures, or whatever else. And I thought that was really interesting. Whereas for you, it's more like it is in the now and it is present to your current, like it could literally happen in an hour, it could happen tonight, it could happen tomorrow. And I love that. And I feel like that is such a thing. Um, okay, let me ask you a follow-up question because I'm thinking about my audience. Um, what do you think takes them? So let's say a new client on boards into your mastermind. What would you say takes them from the belief that they used to hold around like, oh, this is going to take, you know, me being, I don't know, whatever, making 10K months or 30K months or 50K months, that's going to take like X, Y, and Z time instead of really feeling like it's in the now. What do you think gets them, like thinking about a bridge, what do you think gets them from that belief of like, oh, okay, this will happen someday to it being like, oh, it could happen this week and next week and like this month?
One of the things that I've seen in my space, which is why I love masterminds, is the group and the community aspect.
Mm,
So in mine, we have like a Slack channel and a weekly win thread where I ask people to post like their wins. And so oftentimes someone who their belief feels really far away,
yeah.
when they see someone else, and
Right.
this is why I used to tell people to go find, I called them lighthouses. Like,
Mm,
go find the people who are doing the thing that you want to do because most of us don't have that living, breathing example that it's possible.
yeah.
But if you're in a room and everyone in that room is selling 20K packages and they're all the same type of coaches as you and they're not more experienced and their content's not any better than yours, but they're doing it, it's kind of hard to not get swept in that wave of like, oh, maybe it is possible for me. And just that little crack in the door is one thing that I see help with the bridge. But the other piece, and I think this is where my magic comes in,
Mm,
is someone who sees them and
yeah.
someone who can mirror back their genius.
That.
So when people come in on a hot seat and they're just like, yeah, and I'll give you this example talking about the health coach that
Yeah.
had that sales call with just yesterday. And she was talking about the coaching that she does. And then what people walk away with are this deep self love, this deep self respect, so much kinder to themselves, better in their marriages and relationships. And when I mirrored that back to her, I'm like, you are not just a general weight loss
Yeah.
coach, and I'm going to tell you what to eat. Like, it's way deeper. And so when people, and this was actually something that
Mm,
I asked, it was the first thing that I asked I'm doing a 10-day challenge right now, a free challenge.
mhm.
And is the first thing I ask is, where are people when they start, where are they when they finish with you? What's the transformation? I call it the so what factor. So what becomes possible as a result of the work you do with clients? And at first people are like, oh, they're more confident, they're more clear. And then I'm like, yeah, but so what? Oh, so they ask for the raise. Oh, so they leave their husbands. Oh, so
Mhm.
they uh, spend more time with their kids. Like, it's actually life-changing results.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And so when I or someone in the group mirrors that back to them, they're like, holy F,
Yeah.
I'm actually really like, this work is life changing. And when they have that belief, they're like, of course, it's not 2K, it's 20K. Like,
Yes, there you
that's an
go.
instant shift.
I love, yeah, I really, because I don't know why I kept thinking about so many of my different clients. I don't really know oh, probably because I have like a new launch. So maybe like it sparked, I was thinking about client stories and like which stories am I going to tell? And I was thinking about the fact that, based on what you just said, I was just thinking, yeah, like a lot of these transformations happen because I really see them.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself is an art because, and I think you'll totally like agree with me with this part is like often when people come to me, I see what's underneath, but in the moment, they're not living out like their true badass leader, like in any way, like I would say. And but I can see who I'm going after. It's almost like I'm going after like a version of them. I'm like, I got you, and now we're fucking going there. Like, let's go.
Yes.
You know, and it's so funny because then once I've seen it and I've locked in, I'm not letting go of that because it's like I've seen it. And that's actually one of the reasons why I personally can't work with someone where I haven't fully seen it. I like have, I mean, it's really rare that that happens, but if it's like, for example, men, I don't work with men, and that's, I find it's easier for me to see it in the women. Doesn't mean the men don't have it, of course they do, but I find it so easy to see. And then when I see the potential in the version, I'm like, that's the person. And then now we're literally going to like break her out of where, whatever the fuck this is. Like it's a facade, it's the paradigms, it's the constructs, it's the like ridiculous stuff that we've picked up like from growing up. But I think you're spot on what you said about how like, yeah, it like is, you know, someone really being seen. And I think that, you know, it's funny because we spoke about this right before the podcast started, like the recorded, but like that I mean, I'm really curious to hear your take on this actually. For me, when I think back at like I've worked with Rich Litvin, I've worked with Regan Hillier, I've worked with Kat, I've worked with Steph, I've worked with Shoshana, I've worked with like so many different people. And there's not like other people I haven't even listed, but if I think about it, the best coaches were the ones who really saw me. And
Yeah.
out of all of those, I would say there are only really two who really, really saw me. Because, you know, there's levels. So I'm curious, like for you, when you think about the coach or coaches who were the best for you, because it's such a,
Mhm.
you know, what was it for you? What made them a better coach than someone else? Like that you had, you know, because you've had other coaches.
Well, I also think some this conversation is nuanced in that
Mm,
different seasons require us to be seen in certain and different ways.
that's true.
So I mean, I get very emotional talking about my very first coach,
Mm,
who I hired when I worked w- w- yeah, I was still working in corporate.
mhm,
And I was so unhappy.
mhm.
And I really thought, and I was also doing some therapy at the time. So, like, the how I got my results were combined
Right,
from
right.
coaching
That
and
makes sense.
therapy. And I mean, she saw my soul.
Wow.
And it was in our very first conversation. I was sitting across, this is back in the day when you could meet your coaches in person and it wasn't on
Mm,
Zoom. She lives locally, and it's like I'm pointing to the city.
I love that.
And we had coffee together, and I was sharing with her that I really wanted to quit my job, but I couldn't just quit. You know, you can't just quit your job. That's insane. Who does that? So I was thinking I would quit my job and apply for medical school. I'm a like 30, early 30-year-old woman at the time with two little kids. Um, I have a degree, but not in anything to do with medicine. And she just looked, the way she looked at
Um,
me, and she then told her own story about how she was doing her PhD, and then she thought she was supposed to go into medicine, and then she went in this women's leadership program, and she felt her feelings for the very first time. And I just felt this like overwhelm of emotion in my body. I'm like, you feel your feelings? Like, what? Like, what would that feel like to
right.
actually feel what's inside? And yeah, no, I lost track of your question, but she saw me so deeply.
Yeah.
And my second coach, who is the one that I then got certified through,
Right.
like my master certification as a coach. And then I was a mentor coach for her in her program. We're still in touch. She sends me referrals all the time. She really saw me.
Right.
And honestly, like, I've also worked with some awesome coaches
Hmm.
since.
Yeah, same.
And I think they see me
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, at to a certain degree.
to a certain degree,
Hmm.
but I haven't felt seen like I felt seen with Anne and Alyssa, for
Yeah.
sure.
I swear, but you know what's really funny about this conversation is that you and I have invested like hundreds of thousands, right? And other people who are listening to this have probably also invested tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. And we're talking about the fact that some of the most valuable coaches were the ones who could see us.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even talking about like everything else that goes with, coaching. And
And
I guess
the
I think,
strategy and
yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I think that in itself is like fascinating to me. And like it really goes to show that again, this is like a relationship game. Um, and it really is and again, I feel like that really shows as well like a gap like with Instagram and TikTok. Everything's very outwardly focused, right? Because you're just like speaking and stuff. So it's almost like you have to see the person and make them feel seen without being able to really have that deep conversation, which I know I do and I know you have when you're coaching someone. So it's just
yeah.
like a really interesting conversation that actually what we're talking about is like really what people I have experienced, like what they need to have the biggest transformation is to really feel like seen at their most powerful and for that not to just disappear and for it to really be locked in.
Also, they're most vulnerable.
That's a really good point as well. And but yeah, and for the coach to allow the person to get into that vulnerability. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, because think about the podcast and Angie, the client I interviewed, she talked about
I heard, yeah.
the women. She was like, I'm not going to be vulnerable. I'd never be like that on a call. In the first few calls, for the first 2 or 3 months, she didn't say anything on the calls.
Mm.
And other women were vulnerable. Other women were sharing their stories or their vulnerabilities, their insecurities. And she was like, oh, wait, I'm allowed to do that? Like, we're allowed to do that as women? And it's this big permission slip. And then when you touch your vulnerability and you realize you're not going to die if
Yeah.
you're vulnerable and you're really seen in who you are, I think that's then what connects you to your power.
Yes.
So it's like the both. It's the vulnerability and the softness as well as the like go power energy.
You're so right. Yeah, you're so right. That is so true. Oh, it's like it's just an interesting thing. I hadn't really been thinking about it before we went into this. Okay, so I'm really curious about something else as well. Yeah, this is what I want to know. So again, thinking about my audience, I'm thinking this. So when you're launching something high ticket that's like quite new and that you haven't seen sales yet, so maybe like day one or day two, and I want to know what's your internal dialogue? Like, what are you saying to yourself when that's happening?
So, number one, I never launch anything that I haven't pre sold.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So, I don't ever, like, for example, I'm going to open doors to my mastermind
Hmm.
in 10 days from now. It's already half full.
Right.
I've been pre selling it behind the scenes without a sales page, through direct messages, through personal connections. So I teach my clients
Mm.
to validate their offers before they sell them. Like, don't even make it, don't record the videos. Like, talk about it on Instagram,
Hmm.
make some posts about it, tell people about it. If it's crickets, do not go write pages of sales copy and launch it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you haven't nailed it yet.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing is like go pre-sell it, validate your offer.
I want to ask you a question on that one, and then I want to
Yeah.
hear the second point as well. Because what I've experienced is my best clients have come from them coming to me and being like, I'm in, like, obviously I sell all the time, so there's always opportunity. Sell in terms of like, I sell via email, I sell via my Facebook group, etc. But I don't personally message or personally directly message or email people. And I think it might be like a story around like, the women who have been like incredible clients are the ones who've come basically like almost like I'm ready and saying like a big fat yes to themselves. So what's your, because obviously your beliefs and your story is different to mine. So I'm curious, like what is your belief when it comes to that? Where, because there's like someone literally just DMing Becky and being like, hey, can we jump on a sales call or can we talk about your one-on-one coaching? Versus you reaching out to someone who you're like, oh, you've been liking a lot of my stuff or you've been coming to or whatever. Um, Tell me what your belief is around that. Like, do you feel like, oh, they'll be a different kind of client, or tell me what your thoughts are on this?
My thoughts are so to do both, right? You're going to have people who automatically come to you and slide into your DMs. Like yesterday, 3 people DM me and say, "Hey, I heard about you. I want to do your mastermind. Can you tell me more?" That happens. I also really believe, and this is something, I don't know if it's like this energetic give and take piece. So
Yeah.
the client's flowing to you,
Yes.
but then I also really believe in this like lean forward
Oh, I
energy.
love that. This is really cool. It's kind of like a wave. Yeah.
Yeah, and the more you lean in, the more actually other people are gonna wave back to you. And the my favorite story about this is early on in my coaching, I felt really strongly that I was supposed to host a retreat in Hawaii.
Hmm.
And I had met this woman at a networking event. We were now Facebook friends. She was like a graphic designer at the time, not even a coach. And I just felt this like, I got to message her about this retreat.
Right.
And I just sent her a little note on Facebook and I was like, hey, you just keep coming to mind. I'm going to Hawaii
Yeah.
to host a retreat for women. I think it was called Unleash Your Feminine Fire or something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, are you at all interested? Do you want more information? And she was like, oh, I've actually been really dying to go to Hawaii and I could really use some me time. Tell me more.
Wow, how funny.
So back forth, told her back and forth.
Yeah.
There was some coaching because she'd never spent whatever it was, $3,000, $4,000 on herself before,
Right.
which is like a deal for a retreat now that I
I
think
know.
about
Now,
it,
yeah.
right?
Oh.
And fast forward, she came, we're sitting on the beach in Hawaii and we're doing this meditation. And we came out of the meditation, everyone kind of opened her eyes and she was like, oh, I'm not supposed to be a graphic designer. I'm supposed to help women. And she starts bawling and she like
Oh my
connected with some star. And she went on to get certified before I did.
God.
She
Wow.
went on to work with one of my past coaches and got certified. And like she found her purpose. And so for me, it's like I feel this responsibility
Yeah.
that if I think I can help you, and if I think I have magic and medicine that could
Yeah.
help you live your best life, have your best business, like have all the things, you better believe I'm going to message you.
Interesting. And what is your like? I'm so curious about this because I feel like it's a mindset I want to adopt. Because there's for me, it's like I know some like, but it's like then they'll not be fully them making the decision and like them being the yes, like the self leadership, the self-led woman. What comes up for you around that?
Yeah, no, like I just don't believe that at all. I believe we need invitations. It's here's the example that I think about. I am not going to invite myself over to your dinner party, Olivia.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
am waiting for you to invite me.
That's a real I like that. And you know what's funny about that? When Steph messaged me about the room,
Yes.
when she messaged me about the room, I was so many things. One, I was so grateful that she reached out to me. Two, I felt really blessed and like honored that she thought like that she would enjoy working with me. Three, I was also like it came at a really good time. Like it was like in a time where I was like I actually feel like I could really use some like more like hands-on coaching rather than just being in the collective and stuff. Um, and yeah, so like it was like all the kind of stars aligned and stuff. And I actually remember being like, I told her no initially. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds so really good. Like give me a day. And then I came back to her and I was like, no. And then the next day I was like, I'm actually yes. She's like, this is hilarious, Olivia. And I was like, yeah, but like you said, it's so true. It's funny, like it's funny, maybe it's a thing. I think what I just like realized for myself, and I think this is interesting for people thinking about this themselves, is it's the identity of the client. So what am I trying to get at? Is like for me, I am self-led in the sense that I've invested in so many different coaches. I put myself forward at all these different things. And if something else comes knocking and it feels like, yeah, that actually feels really good, I'm self-led as well to say yes. So it's not only the people who are going to be not self-led who are going to be invited. So I think that's where it was like a bit of a mismatch. So that's so interesting hearing that. I think a lot of people will find this super helpful listening to your, especially the dinner party.
Yeah. And just on waiting for people to reach out to you, like, okay, so I don't like the waiting energy.
Right.
I'm a fire sign, I'm an activator. I'm here to activate and light fire in women's butts. So
Right.
there's no part of me that wants to sit back and be passive and wait for you to come to me.
Right.
Yes, I do want you to come to me. And
Yeah.
also, I just so believe in that lean in energy. And I've also had lots of people who have come through my DMs and be like, hey, I want to work with you. And either they turn out to be the worst clients
Right.
or they ghost, right? So to me,
Yeah.
there's not a correlation between the best clients are the ones who reach out to me. Like, I actually don't see that in my business at all.
Right. So, see, but that this is why I think both podcast interviews, but also mentorship coaching is so powerful. I do this with everywhere I go, is I just adopt mindsets. So,
Yeah.
for example, my husband and I, we've got like a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and in the past, when my 5-year-old would get sick, I would like honestly, I'd go into like I'm usually like really chill and calm and whatever. But then when my 5-year-old would be sick, I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna die. And it would really go into that kind of like very preoccupied, but then I would like worry about it and then whatever. And I said to Nathan, I was like, okay, tell me what your mindset is when it comes to
Mm,
Ethan being sick. And he was like, cool, my mindset is, he's sick right now. If anything gets like more severe or worse or whatever, then no problem. A&E is like a 5-minute drive from our house. We just take him to A&E. We have like one of the best like pediatric like places like around, so we're really lucky. And he's like, that's it. And I don't think about it anymore. And I was just like, perfect. I'm taking that mindset on, and obviously still being vigilant. But what you're just doing right there, and this is why I think the power of a mastermind, you've spoken about it quite a bit, is like you can literally adopt any ideas and mindsets and beliefs that aid you, that are like, you know what, that is more powerful and more supportive than the one I currently hold. And I
yeah.
just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
We were talking about launching,
Yeah.
and so the inviting and the beta, and
Yes.
then the energy once you're in the launch.
Yes.
My mindset is,
Yes.
and I remember sharing this with some students in a program I run called Unapologetic Sales, because I see so many people, they'll like launch something and nobody buys in the first 24 hours or even 2 days, 3 days, and they stop. They like
That's so true.
retreat, right?
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, my mindset, well, number one, every day is like, today's a 10K day, today's a 25K day.
Love
Like
it.
anything can happen today.
Love it.
I can't wait to see who's going to come in. It's my responsibility to put my work out there into the world and to give people an experience of why they should want to buy from
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking of, like if sales are slow, things are slow, I'm not thinking, oh, what am I doing wrong? I'm thinking, how can I lean in? How can I be bigger? How can I be bolder?
I
What
love
do I
that.
need to
That's
say or
so good. And
do?
people take that. That's amazing. Yeah, I love
Yeah, a client yesterday, she was like, oh my God, like I have so few clients right now. And she kind of started going down this rabbit hole. And I was like, hold up,
it.
what can you do differently? What Host an open group coaching call, do a live free workshop, do something like dramatic. Like this is all under your control. How many clients you have is under your control. But right now you're focused on the lack and what you don't have instead of just seeing expansion, possibility, potential.
Yes.
I'm always thinking, another one I love is I'm like, people are literally on the edge of their seats waiting to buy something from
Yeah,
me.
that's what goes through my mind too. Every time I send an email, I'm like, people are literally just like, oh, like right there. Yeah, I love that.
They've got their credit card in their hand. What do I need to say
Yeah.
to help them over this bridge, to make this buying decision feel
How
solid for them?
how do you because something that I've noticed with my clients and stuff that comes up as question is how do you avoid the convincing energy? Because if you're like you're thinking about the person with the card, and I do the same thing as well, like they're like on the edge of their seat. And then like you said, like what do I need to say for it to just be that final yes to themselves and whatever? How do you avoid getting into the convincing energy?
By remembering that, so convincing would be, you don't know you want this.
Mm,
And now I need to say things to make you want this.
right.
Non-convincing energy, or what I call desire-led marketing, is you are exceptional, you're powerful, you're a badass, you want this. And I just need to help you tap into your own internal desire
Mm-hmm.
for you then to feel confident about saying yes. Like you're already there, you're in the room,
Yeah.
you've actually already decided. So there's just never any convincing
Yeah.
that needs to come in the conversation.
Yeah, I love this. And I feel like it's a really good reminder of this call for me as well with what we spoke about in the very beginning, where it's like sometimes we're so focused on like the problem awareness and the like positioning and that rather than just literally doing more of what we spoke about in the very beginning, which is just like what do you do for people? You take them from here to there and what's the bridge? And like nailing them because like a lot of people would probably even just with that tiny change each week getting a couple of reels out that literally all they do is that. And I think like it's funny how in a weird way we forget that, and also just being so clear cut. Like I remember one of my clients, like I went onto her page and I was like, I just write the thing, like actually just write like what do you do, and it's like so obvious, but to other people, right, when it's in your own head you're like I feel like I'm kind of doing that, but I'm like no, like tell me exactly and just tell me simply like what do you do. And I think sometimes that is hard, and that's the whole point, like that's hence coaching, blah blah blah, getting coached on those things. But it's like yeah, like you could have so much gold that you're sitting on when I feel like you are one of those people, to be honest with you, because I think about other people who are more vocal, that are louder about what they do and what do they do for other people. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but like ultimately some people are not as good as at coaching, and yet they're being louder. So I always
Yeah.
find that really interesting as well. Like it's like that's what I always try and really drill into my clients. Like you are one of the people who actually genuinely cares about their clients. You are, because I work with a lot of service-based business owners, and it's like, yeah, drilling into like, dude, like you are the one who actually gives a shit about your clients. Like you're on this because it's your calling, it's your mission. Like you better be the fucking loudest one out there, because there's lots of people out there who it's okay, but they're more in it for the money than they are in it for the service and actually like changing people's lives. So I'm
Yes.
like, you better be the loudest, because we need people like you to be the loudest on these different social media fronts.
I love that.
Okay, I could go with you for a million hours, but I want to close it off here. So tell people, like, I guess, where do people go if they want to get a flavor? Because they're probably new to you. So if they want to get like a flavor of Becky, like, is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it a particular free training? Like, where should they go?
Definitely come Instagram, come in my DMs. Tell me what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. And then I do have a freebie. We're running it live right now,
Yeah.
called Unleash Your Premium Era. And it's all about like pulling the cap off, selling high ticket packages, getting lots of DMs, both the identity, but then, the strategy piece. So
Oh,
I will very likely keep that open so people can come into that. So
evergreen.
even if this podcast is aired after it's done, which I presume it will be, they can still come into that, and that'll be in my bio. So, or maybe we can link it in the show notes or something.
Yeah, we can totally link it. I'll link it below if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll do the same thing for Spotify and Apple. That sounds amazing. And I would definitely recommend, in my perspective, I would definitely recommend following Becky on Instagram, because I feel like that'll give you a really good flavor for who she is, like, because especially with her video reels, I think that'll really give people like an idea of like who you are. So go into that. Okay, well, Becky, thank you so much for taking the time again. This was so good, and just I feel like it was so different as well to our previous call, so that's always amazing. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time out and doing this.
Oh my God. Thank you for having me. I love being interviewed by you and just kind of the dynamic and where we take the conversation. So, yeah, really appreciate you. And thanks to everybody listening.
Oh, all right, everyone. Have an insane rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and I'm sure I will see you for the next episode. Bye, everyone.